So just for context, the sound I was playing was a recording of the storm that broke over our city the night I started writing up the status report. In December, I began to set intentions of unconscious exploration of creative meat. I knew I wanted to make something. I always want to make something. And with trust, the story started to unfold. In the beginning, I began with an obsessive desire to make something for babies, the littlest of them all. Theater for embryos, if I could have. And at this point, there would be the sound of water droplets. And a part of this is because of Naljal, a play which was hosted by the Hyderabad Children's Theatre Festival last year, performed by Dharendra. Devised for the young, the performance was light and playful, yet composed and self respecting. I remember experiencing wave upon wave of intense emotion. After the play, I was drafting a press release on behalf of the festival, and I wept over the keyboard, wanting desperately to feel safe again. I wanted to make something for babies as a vehicle for remembrance and acknowledgement of my own baby self. Yet, when the stories started bubbling up, I was unable to get a hold of the distillation process. When faced with a decision, I chose the easier adjustment. I put aside one idea and decided to go with the other idea. I decided to follow the idea that was being birthed to its fullest instead of holding up the chopping axe from the beginning itself. I chose the story. For ideas, I tracked back to my childhood. One of my favorite things was, and is, one of my favorite activities is to stare at the sliver of sky available to me for hours on end. I never want to do anything, ever. I love feeling the wind in my hair, the sensation of breaking the water's surface and slicing it open. I love sitting snuggled up next to a tree trunk. At those times, any needs I may have, they did not matter. No expectations, no tall promises made on my behalf, no performance, no projection, merely a child in nature, no strings. Our group calls have been greatly helpful in reminding me of something crucial, that I must allow myself to be awful at something, that I gotta let my work suck. My conversations with Lee have been playful and gentle. His key question floats around in my head when I sit to write. What is this play about? Whenever I am stuck, is this about that? And I am right back to my center. Lee reminded me to be wary of over packaging a narrative, something I am clearly fond of doing. What I feel most what I feel most grateful for is the times when I would spout off a lot of pretty words and concepts, and I would look at Lee expectantly for a response, and he'd say, "Well, that's great, Shay, but who is this for? Who is this for? What did I want to watch when I was a child? I had it. I was going to make a portal to ask the same questions I have been asking the sky for all of my short life. How did we get here? Why is this? What happens now?" Creation myths. Stories bartered amongst civilizations for centuries, trying to make sense of order and chaos, trying to name order and chaos in the first place. I went to look for stories from global mythology which resonated within me and related them to the thematic structure of the five elements: earth, water, air, fire, and the spirit of my play, the massive spider. Okay. Listen, guys, I wasn't joking when I said I'm extra, okay? So, okay. of the five elements. I found many stories. I picked a few and I started weaving them together, and a story started to take shape. I went about my daily life like a hungry scavenger, foraging for creative meat and potatoes. Watching a brave spider dance around my aloe vera plants planted a seed. A few books I've been reading planted more. Music on the internet watered the soil, and soon there was movement. So now, this is where I am. I am writing a trilogy called O, the first part of which is called Stoneheart, working title. All three chapters will be tied with similar color palettes and sound, and the appearance of an obliging spider who is weaving together the web of life and the web of all the universes. Right here. Stoneheart is a devised production about the creation of this universe as we know it, and it being witnessed and co-created by the woman in the three stages of her life: the maiden, the mother, and the crone. The three goddesses to be portrayed in Stoneheart are Ilmater, Hestia, and Baba Yaga. Part 2 of the story of the trilogy will devise a production around myths about agriculture, social order, and the seeds of unrest and conflict. The final chapter of the trilogy will pose two stories in parallel: the story of a young child in the forest and the story of a captured wild being. My intention with this, among others, is to show you, the audience, what is important to me: Mother Earth, the web of life, the power of natural forces, and the depths of depravity that we are capable of. As of 12th October 2020, I am a quarter way through the script of Stoneheart and in the process of piecing together the structure for the other chapters of the trilogy. Each production will be no more than 30 minutes long. Initially, I was visualizing and so writing for an outdoor setting. Now, keeping in mind the constraints at hand, I am opening up to the I'm sorry. Keeping in mind the constraints at hand, I am opening up to the possibility of designing this as a shadow puppet play. My collaborators are hard at work in brushing up their skill sets and poring over storyboards for inspiration. They're waiting for me to finish the first draft, the skeleton, so they can start pouring some blood into it. On sound, I am working with Shubhajyoti Sen Sharma, a multidisciplinary artist from Kolkata. Rita Ghosh, a freelance theater artist, is consulting with me on production design, as is in the process of drawing up a beautiful storyboard. I am grateful for this opportunity